Good evening and welcome to the Job Search Solution, the radio program where we talk about looking for a job, changing jobs, changing careers, hiring. And as always, we begin with a prayer. Dear God, grant us thy peace and thy mercy, thy will be done. So you made a mistake in hiring. Oh my goodness, now what are you going to do? We're going to discuss what not to do on the part of employers. But first of all, we're going to take 10 seconds to be grateful. We've been doing that lately. Think of 3 things today that made you grateful. You can't be unhappy when you're grateful. Go. You can be grateful for just being grateful, being grateful for just being here, being able to share information. Okay. What I wanted to discuss today was what happens this evening was what happens when companies make a mistake in hiring. Yeah, it happens. You've seen it. Everybody's seen it. It's it it stands out like a sore thumb. Um, I'd say it happens 1 out of every at least 20 times. Just make a mistake in hiring. No matter how much interviewing you do, no matter what kind of gauge you have, and things you do to keep from making a mistake in hiring, there is no way that you can measure a candidate's integrity. Well, maybe possibly, but work ethic. There are lots of things you just can't measure until you hire them, until they're working for you. And once in a while, you come to a conclusion that you made a mistake. Most people don't get rid of their mistakes fast enough. Sometimes they take on responsibility of having made a mistake that they can't be responsible for. I had a fellow one time that got mad at me because the candidate had a heart attack and died about the 89th day he was employed. And he felt like it was some mistake on our part, that we should have known that the candidate had a heart condition and was going to pass away. So you're going to make a mistake once in a while. We've discussed this in other sessions before. Get rid of the mistake as fast as you possibly can. But whatever you do, don't overreact to the mistake. And what I mean by that is that because people make a mistake and because it's obvious that they've made a mistake to everybody in the company, they try to create all kinds of things to keep them from making a mistake again. Everything from hiring a consultant to having 4 or 5 more people involved in the interviewing process, thinking that more people involved in the interviewing process is going to keep them from making a mistake, which it doesn't, to doing things that just elongate the interviewing and hiring process, to all kinds of things that are overreacting to the situation. Let's face it, you're going to make mistakes in hiring. If you decide you've made a mistake, get rid of it, pick up where you left off as fast as you can, and move on. Whatever you do, don't overreact to it, because the odds of making a mistake again are great when you overreact to it. And inevitably, when I hear a client say to me, well, we made a mistake in the last person and we're going to make sure that we don't make a mistake again, I think, oh boy. And I warn them of this. I've written articles about it, chapters in my books about it, about how that's not a good idea you got to be careful to overreact. Normally, your process of hiring is not at fault. The things that you went through in the hiring process didn't cause the mistake to be made. You just made a mistake. We make lots of mistakes. Now, the thing about making a hiring mistake is that everybody in the company can see it. And as I've often said in these programs, if you make a mistake in accounting, you just go back in the computer and change it. If you make a mistake in the design, you go back in the design software and you change the design. Nobody sees a lot of those mistakes. When you make a mistake in hiring, it normally doesn't show up for probably at least 6 weeks, 7 weeks, and everybody in the company can see it, and everybody blames you. They think you're the fool for having hired the mistake. Well, it's going to happen. Recognize the mistake, get rid of it as soon as you possibly can, and pick up where you left off and admit it was a mistake. But whatever you do, don't overreact to it. And 9 out of 10 times, companies overreact to it. They say, well, we made a mistake the last time. We're not going to do it this time. So this time we're going to have 10 people involved in the interviewing process. We're going to have 14 psychologists involved in the interviewing process. We're going to have all kinds of testing involved in the interviewing process because we don't want to make a mistake again. And all of those things that you're going to do to keep from making a mistake aren't really going to keep you from making a mistake. They may elongate your hiring process. They may make it more difficult to find somebody for the position. And they may make it more ridiculous, but they aren't going to keep you from making a mistake any more than the last time you did it. You just have to recognize that that's part of life and that you have to, I realize it's an impact. It loses you money. It makes things more difficult. Yes, I understand that. It's no more fun for us than it is for you when a mistake is made. But pick up, move on. Don't overreact. All right, we're going to take a short break. Stay tuned. This is Tony Bashir with the Job Search Solution.